So, Molly McCann said something that was very enlightening in the light of all this John Anik drama, where there's been like kind of a mass consciousness awakening. Hold on, let me fix this light. There we go. A mass consciousness awakening where the UFC fan base has had kind of a reality check where it's like, do we look down on these fighters a little too much? I think obviously yes. And Molly McCann was the perfect person to say this and put this out there because although you can probably criticize Molly for being super political or just a little too big for her boots sometimes, where I thought that she got a little too cocky without being in talk for a championship title. She got a little too cocky too soon, and I think she's humbled it out there, and I think she's gotten, her thing. I think that's enough. I think that but she's still human and she's still accomplishing things. It's not like she's a complete, failure in the world of MMA because she's fighting in the UFC, right? As much as I pick predictions on these fights, I don't wish anything bad on the other fighter that I'm not predicting is going to win this fight. And even if someone loses the fight, which is going to happen, I don't want to talk down or say that they're worthless or anything like that, unless there's actually something about their performance to pick apart. Like when you saw Crone Gracie in his last fight where he was relying way too much on jiu-jitsu when MMA has evolved way so much that jiu-jitsu can be rendered useless if you're a one-dimensional fighter, right? But that's a different story for a different day. What I'm talking about is you get this average schmo who's probably never thrown a punch in his life acting like he's better than, let's say Tony Ferguson, right, when he was fighting Michael Chandler, and he turned back the clock. A lot of people were probably making jokes on the internet about that KO. I was in that audience live to see my favorite fighter of all time get knocked out. But people forget just the amount of inspiration that guy gave, especially when he was on his winning streak. Sometimes they gloss over that. Now, there's a lot of the fan base, obviously, who is showing a lot of appreciation and support of Tony, even though they think he should retire. But just overall, there's this massive group of fans in the UFC that's obviously not the whole thing, but it's pretty noticeable that they're just looking for a fight themselves or looking for a clash. And maybe sometimes, that is just sports culture. In fact, that's our culture in the world right now, where everyone has an out-of-whack ego and might need to get a check. That's why I recommend you guys who want to talk all this good stuff behind the safety of your screen, go to a jiu-jitsu class. Take on a black or a brown belt, and you'll realize just how much you don't know. And that's the thing. People who like to criticize Molly McCann, right? Try making it as far as she has in the world of MMA. You probably couldn't make it into the UFC. I know people who have been on the UFC Contender Series who can make me look absolutely helpless. And guess what? The iceberg goes beyond that and beyond that. And then you go up to the championship. Well, there's only one world champion for a reason. And people act like the people who lose to the world champion deserve embarrassment. Dude, you deserve honor because you were going out on your shield. Maybe with the exception of Colby Covington versus Leon Edwards. That was just a horrible performance. But we have a lot of people who just would get knocked out in the amateur circuits in the first round probably, who just want to sit there and talk down on people like John Anik or Molly McCann or Joe Rogan. As much as I would disagree with them or openly state that, I'm just giving out my opinion. I got no right to look down on these guys because obviously they're doing something right because they got a bit of a following with them, right? But a lot of people just are always looking to sit on the sidelines, criticize people who get things done. And that's probably one of our biggest problems in society outside of the UFC. Too many people with overinflated egos. We need an actual ego death in just the world overall, because there's too many self-righteous people who have not earned it. And you know what? That's all I got to say. Molly McCann, You're 100% right in the statement I watched. People are just trying to look down on people. And you know what? Just a personal message to Molly McCann. If you ever somehow stumble across this video, because I understand that I am so small in this YouTube commentary space for UFC, that there's so many big players above me. As many flops as you've had in your career so far, that people are just loving your failure, those people haven't even tried to succeed. And for the fact that you made it to the UFC, even the top 15 in the UFC, is such a commendable thing that I would just love to shake your hand and say, well done. No matter where your career goes from here, you've accomplished something that 99.9% of humanity would never even attempt. So congratulations. I'm Team John Anik. Right now I'm really Team Molly McCann. And that's all I got to say about that. Peace out.